and the great speakers. And I think this is wonderful time that I'm spending in my life. A stage that I have got is wonderful. A stage that I'm going to reach today is uh, a point that I was thinking long back. I would like to say a few thanking words to MAP and team and the wonderful company that I work for, the company I love so much. I'm trying to bring a practical perspective of an experience that we so far gone through since March 6th. I would like to really bring that from that perspective to all the audience. Remember that when I talk, I always loved people to really have few hearts, a few encouragements. This is the first time that I have not been seeing my audience coming in front of me. I only see uh, sometimes Afif and all. Let me really tell, I just start very humble hotel career, starting from a receptionist, and then I would say myself a very fortunate uh, employee of Crown and Champa Resorts, very fast grower within the company. I'm a real asset of the company, real product of this company. So I would like to bring kind of insight that we have gone through, especially in COVID and post-COVID. As you have seen my slide deck there, I will be addressing today the role of L&D function in a crisis situation. Mainly, I will be bringing to you the case study that I've gone through and I've been learning through in this situation. As for the participant, before I start, as long as you send me the love, the hearts, that would be fantastic for me to start. I always remember when I attended last L&D conference, my friend Taraka, he talked about the aura, the positiveness that you bring into the chat box, the motivation that I will have, the heart-based hospitality where that I'll be trying to really and remember, when we talk about the L&D role in the particular crisis, particular pandemic, I will take you through in a very practical perspective. I'm not ready, Kiruba, for TED Talk yet. I'm not really comparing myself, Ron Kaufman. I'm still learning. I will follow through what we will be covering here. As you see, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do that. And what you do simply proves what you believe. That's what our foundation in CCR. We'll talk about at a glance L&D. We'll be talking about major events of CCR at COVID. We'll be talking about and taking you a timeline and stories from the L&D and CCR team. And we will be taking you some specific areas, specific roles that we really require on these days for the team, and that I will be explaining to you. And having such a team here, I would also like to address what our team actually embracing, how our team actually embracing virtual learning in CCR. If you look at the CCR T&D practices, we were very much engaged on employability, onboarding, career orientation, as well as departmental trainers with HR department. My friend Samman from Westin will be talking very much linking approach. When we hire people, when we bringing people into the role of company, that's where we need to start. When you have a baby, that's where you need to be caring as best as you can. The way that you want to mold, that is where you should focus. As well as we, the CCR L&D department, we very much focus on soft skills in terms of communication, personality traits, as well as social intelligence and emotional intelligence as well. When we talk about the theoretical perspective, we also spend a lot of effort on sponsorship and internship. Remember that almost every Maldivians that we have in CCR is part of the fruits of this sponsorship as well. So I'm proud to really say all the middle management and top management, we take a big part of the resort and company operation. Thank you for the owners. Thank you for the other computers as well as other teams that who are really helping us. One of the very fascinating programs that we continue in the company is graduate management programs that we continue in the company. We also focus on our on-the-job skills program, and these programs are mainly trained by and approved departmental trainers. Our corporate training department, corporate training team really focus on making sure the quality on the ground is ensured through the approved departmental trainers. We also focus about external training. We talk about supplier-based training, for example, the technical training that we have to bring on the ground, for example, Ecolab or barista training and all these areas. And we also talk about compliance training, food safety, HACCP, fire safety, as well as talking about the rescue swimming. We are a department in one of the company in Maldives. We have an international approved as a training center for HACCP and food safety by IGI UK and CHI UK as well. So we are proud of that, and a lot of contribution from, again, the owners, the directors for achieving such a high level of achievement in that regard. I would like you to take a deep breath. And I've been trying my best to really talk very much on very energized voice. This is where you need to look back and a deep breath and look at where you are now. If you are in your home, just look around. Do you see your family? Do you see your kids? And after that, look at where you're working, the company. Can you really reach your team members? Can you see the team, where team members are? After that, look at your country. I'm going to take you kind of like a point where you may need to think about yourself. I would like to really introduce this video clip for you, and take a deep breath in and watch that particular video clip for you. I'll be back to you. Thank you. The drum that you heard just now, the echo of it is not just an easy sound. It's just not an easy feeling to us. It's just not a kind of a thing that we can forget about ourselves. I would say the story changed, not only in CCR, the whole world, the whole Maldives. The change of life in Maldives, in many others as well, change. It is a historical socio-economic tragedy. Life change in trauma. Physical distancing demanded unpredictably all the digitalization, virtual learnings, and telecommuting platforms began everyday life. I'm going to recall myself on the March 6th, after conducting a beautiful training on one of the beautiful resort in our company, Veligana Resort, 8:30, I got a call from a senior executive member of company. Zaki, we got an issue here. Maldives got a COVID infected confirmed case. Nevertheless, I was listening to the executives very seriously. I was asking him, so what is the plan? He said, as long as you have done the training with Valigandu, please pack and ready to come to Miro. I didn't have any choice. Next morning, taking a flight, I flew back to Miro Island Resort. I met our CEO, Mr. Martin Wilson, and on the day there was no much discussions about that. I'm sure things has been changing and moving where people are talking. And at night, around 10:30, the CEO called me to one of the outlets, and we had a long discussions about how can Zaki you lead the entire communication in this particular. We need to go and really engage with the people at National Emergency Center at Darbaruge. We need to represent our team at Darbaruge. And the reason why he has been selected me, he believes that in order to really communicate in such a level, they need somebody who has the company that is being trusted, the person who knows company better, the information better, the way that we should communicate. I accepted. Next morning at 8, I joined in Darbaruge at National Emergency Center. Looking at this, I quickly go through this. This is where it happened. I've been working in assisting team members, giving information to every resort, every management. And if you look at the entire the lockdowns in all our resorts, alive that operation has been shut down. I couldn't really focus anything. I was talking with team members, I was talking with GMs, I was talking with other members in the company. Looking at this particular slide, you can see the amount of talk, amount of communication, amount of delegation that we have to really continue within the resort and other authorities in Mali as well. This is where it happens. The center of the communication really led by L&D and our health and safety and QA function. I had been talking in many other departments even before this particular event. And this is where I was really thinking how deep this particular talking is all about. If you look at the density and the dense of this communication, a direct communication with all the stakeholders, and the communication that went not only our own areas, communication with the executive office, where Mr. Wilson is already in Switzerland. He's been talking with me every day, and he is giving directions every day. He's talking with his own executive committee as best as he can. Nevertheless, there are other departments we talk mainly so often dive school people, and National Health and Association. As well as if you look at this particular communication, 24/7 we were online talking with people, and we talk about like developing new normal operational manuals. We talk about what could we offer from that end to the people to engage. Our first um, training program that we developed was building connectivity through team members, which is 90% virtual, because most of the people are not on the island and they were disengaged. Where I found yesterday's talk by Mavis, when they are in a different situation, when they are in a different condition, what type of training that we would really be given to the people. And I found it is very disturbing at that moment. 90% we focus on online learning programs, and when we check across the whole company, their situation with the team members are very, very different. They are talking about their family. They're talking about their next steps. There's no one is really concentrating on the training in that particular time. And giving a kind of a story that what we actually move from there when the team members are more engaged with the resort in a particular situation. How can we re-engage with the people? How can we bring back to the people to the normal operational perspective? We took a different turn there. We started meeting with the people. One of the steps that we took about creating internal working groups with the team while we were talking and communicate with other departments. I'll bring you a different perspective from our executive housekeepers, how they did really engage with our team members.
So I am also one of the person who stay to the work on the island with the project and other pending works. After 2 months, I got a call from our team lead director, Mr. Zaki, and informed me that he is going to make housekeeping online working group to make housekeeping new normal operations manual. And I was assigned as a leader of the group and OT as a vice leader. As a team leader, I was thinking how I can bring all the housekeepers to one table, as all are in different island and some are at their home country. Therefore, I had a WhatsApp call to OT, and she suggested to have a Zoom call with all the EHKs to discuss how to proceed further. After 2 days, we had a Zoom call with all the EHKs, and it's one of the best feeling ahead. COVID-19 is not a pandemic; it's also give us opportunity together. So that meetings took lots of the time, and we had done many work, and we had a lot of fun too. Eventually, we were able to make a perfect manual which will help us a lot to run our operations smoothly with the safely requirement, provide COVID-free accommodation to all our beloved guests. Overall, I have had an experience which I never had in my life as its own communication, cooperations, and teamwork for whole team to build the confidence to build up.
Thank you, Abji and executive housekeepers across CCR. This is one of the stories that I thought to bring to the audience. When the team were disengaged, when they were really feeling what they could do, most of them were actually engaged with the renovation activities, more on the ground. With the people. So I thought, how can we bring their creative ideas into the operation? How can we prepare through them? Even some of them were outside the country, outside of the resort, some are on the local island, some are on abroad. I thought to bring another perspective here as well, from the front of house perspective. How did they do when they really started engaging with the thought of bringing people into the particular area?
COVID-19 pandemic has caused calamity to the global tourism, and we were no exception. Islands being locked down, we suffered a lot of challenges in accommodating our guest satisfaction.
Our island going under lockdown was a big challenge because we didn't know what to expect and what will happen next. And therefore, it was also difficult to answer all the questions from our varied guests.
Being unable to travel in and out of the island, guests missing out on their travel journey, and accepting new guest arrivals were only some of the challenges of this special situation.
We were not fully aware of what to expect and how long the guests would remain on the island. Due to the international border closed, we were also hoping that the repatriation would have been smoother.
With the announcement of the first suspected case of COVID-19 in Maldives, it automatically made our guests furious and our staff afraid of handling our newly arrived guests.
Everything was unexpected and needed quick action. We had to have a spontaneous action plan to keep guests informed of what was happening.
Being hospitality professionals, we expected late hour calls or our planning meetings to figure out handling the situation without letting the guests suffer in the process.
Although we were glad that all our guests made it safe back home, some of our staffs were still stuck at the resort, not able to go back due to less availability of repatriation flights and borders were still closed.
The whole situation of an empty island is very new, unexpected, and unplanned. This left us with an uncertainty of how we'll take our next step and how we'll move forward.
As for CCR, the management stood up in support of Sun Will Shine Again. This was when we were given an opportunity to bounce back with teams of experts to develop a guideline for post-COVID-19 regime. Initiated by T&D, we took next step for post-COVID-19 action plan with the help of virtual meetings.
Managers from all our resorts joined together on a virtual platform to share experiences and knowledge for a greater cause.
Working together with other CCR properties was a very valuable task because we could all share our knowledge, experience and input in order to gain a broad base of information, and in the end we were able to develop an organized and detailed plan for our reopening operations. We could also improve our skills in teamwork, communication and flexibility by working in a digital environment together from all around the world.
Our front of house people is best engagement that you have brought to the entire team. That was fantastic project that you all have gone through with the L&D team, the guidance that you have been shared together. I would like to urge all the L&D professionals who are watching and hearing this particular event. We, the L&D people, has to be prepared, come together, hands together. This is where we need people. This is where our team need the L&D professionals as best as we want. I would really take you into three major areas where we need to discuss. Making sure that L&D team members to make the people believe in their purpose of existing in the resort, in the companies. Make sure there's no particular time to learn and grow. Particularly in a situation like this, we have to encourage people to learn where the possibility is available. We also talk about sense of belongingness. Let them feel that they are part of the team. This is where we talk about. The most important takeaway here is I would like to really focus about the L&D professionals here around. When we want to really talk about L&D functions, especially in a situation like pandemic, they need the care, the compassion, the love that they require. This is where they are demanding at the moment. This is where they are looking for. We may be teachers, we may be trainers, we may be the counselors, mentors, we may be the consultant. The bottom line here is what we need to provide to them is today in this particular time is the love and the care. This is where the L&D function has to be focused in particular time of situation. When we approach training with care and compassion, we should not be forgetting ourselves as a professional. We need to take care of ourselves as well. We need to become team will be really looking for our leadership today. This is where we need to prove our leadership. This is where they want us. And be transparent with the team. Every single information that we talk, they want it from us as best as we can share. Model and communicate time management, as well as keep it simple as best as we can. And be conscious for the disadvantaged team members. Every team member is not as equal as what we think. There are people who would like to get more attention to the team through the L&D team in this particular point. I would like to highlight, while doing all these things, what particular learning platforms that we try to really engage with the people. We talk about the creating a virtual culture into CCR. We started adopting the virtual learning through management, as well as trainers, and exploring the telecommunication platforms ever than before. We were talking about machine learning, artificial intelligence, through the help of our IT department. We decided our learning will be going forward 60% of virtual learning. That's quite a dramatic change that we have decided to bring into CCR, and we decided to have 40% in a conventional learning approach into our operation. While we are immersing into virtual learning culture, we thought L&D team has to be more exposed into particular virtual culture as well. We talk about the executive team members. That has to be connected as well. All these days, the main purpose that we use in our company, main platforms are virtual connections all around the globe where they were from. We talk about L&D partners. We connected all of them, our partners, Lobster Inc., our partners like IGI UK. We talk about the Ecolab, ThinkSafe. We talk about the SGS Sri Lanka. All these team members, all these partners been connected through our virtual platforms. And resorts, as you have seen two samples that I have brought as internal working groups, they connected with virtual platforms that we have discussed. And as we talk about, we started moving from classroom to the virtual environment. We talk about developing the best repository resources through Lobster Inc. We talk about our post-training materials to be available as best as we can. In order going into the foundation of virtual learning, that is where we talk about here. The L&D team has started exploring, as I just mentioned, about going into more telecommunicating platforms such as Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and as well as Zoom. So where the team has to be exposed itself, that's the first step that we talk about. As well as when we talk about first ever in the history, with the help of our IT department, we talk about the creating learning management system as best as we can with the help of our team. We talk about collaborating the Lobster Inc. in a more strategic approach to ensure our repository, our resources are available on virtual platform as well. The team who really require during new normal operation, we started our CCR Jumpstart programs. Again, we confirm with the management as best as we can that we would be going 60% virtual learning as well as 40% conventional learning. As you see, we were more on a video base, we were more on phone application, we were more on micro learning approach in this particular environment. I thought in this particular point, we will be bring to you kind of like a motivational point here, where the L&D team members, L&D professional has to be very much concerned on how we should bring all these things. Even though we are going into virtual learning, there is a point that I would like to highlight to all the L&D professionals here. Human touch is inseparable in this particular industry. So I think human touch can only bring by being compassionate, by being care, by offering the love. This is where even we are going into learning, virtual learning culture, we have to really focus on that point. I'll bring Mr. Zaki to bring my wrap-up point here to really bring you a message where the L&D professionals should not forget any moment, even though we are so expert in the field, the human touch, the compassion, the love that we should provide, especially an event like this, a situation like this in the world, in the country, in the company.
What would it be like to see through the eyes of a child, the opposite sex, a stranger, or a close friend? Virtual reality plays on our love for experiences. We want to taste, hear, touch, and live in the moment exactly the way it is. Today, we don't just want to participate and watch what's happening on our phones. We want to be in them. We demand this immersive and encapsulating vision. Experience comes from the Latin experientia, to experiment or to try. Virtual reality transcends all forms of experiments, allowing us to create masterpieces from the studios of our mind, where we are the videographers, the architects, the designers, the artists who live inside the worlds we create. On one side, virtual reality is an outlet for the outpouring of our imagination, an empty canvas on which we can draw and paint without restriction. But on the other side, it can actually be an incredible tool to elevate humanity. When we enter new extensions and technology, we can either employ them for our own entertainment, or we can elevate our consciousness to engage them for higher values like empathy. Now, rewind to the first question that I asked you. What would it be like to see through the eyes of someone going through pain, someone experiencing anxiety, someone undergoing challenges? For starters, it may seem quite startling and be quite difficult, but could it extract more deeper, meaningful forms of empathy? Would our gratitude grow from the experience of someone else's existence or lack of it? Can we change our perspectives and shift our paradigms by looking through the eyes of someone that we've never even thought of? VR has already been used to treat phobias, post-traumatic stress disorder, body image disorders, and even train surgical skills in surgeons. But what if it could be used to cultivate compassion? What if we could use it to trigger more forms of care and concern into the minds of our own? Imagine if increasing our intimacy with issues could actually cure our indifference. It could dissolve our apathy and actually activate us to make a change. And remember, compassion is the compass of good leadership. But what if virtual reality could be the door to it? It could be the ultimate empathy machine.
Zaki, the message here is for today and tomorrow. What is required from the L&D professional? I urge all the L&D professionals, people who are in the circle of learning and development. This is where we have to really bring into. We need to focus our main perspective. When we train, when we develop people without compassion, without love, that is not possible, specifically in this particular time. And with the care and compassion, who need this? The learners, the people who are really looking for learning from the L&D professionals. This is where we promote in our company. This is where we bring into our culture of operation. This is where our L&D is in Crown and Champa Resorts. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, that was a wonderful sharing there. From you, Zaki. We want to bring you, onto the video. So if you could, stop sharing the slide deck so that we can bring you on, Ali. If you're in the studio, if you could stop sharing the screen so we can bring Zaki actually. Yes. Very good. So now we actually will see Zaki as the on the wheel. Great, Zaki. You shared a very, very important message right there. I mean, the message of, L&D department is not just for teaching people and creating programs and getting people a classroom. I mean, you just shared an example of what going beyond and above the role of L&D, to becoming the team to manage the crisis, because in most companies you would have a crisis management team, and if you don't have, then I think here's a great message for all the L&D professionals and HR professionals: don't wait to be given to lead. See a moment, get involved, take the chance to lead, because that's really how you benchmark yourself. I have a question here from one of the participants for you, Zaki. It is how, obviously, there's always this question about convincing the role of L&D in the function for organizations. I mean, I know we have taken quite a lot of time here already, but just briefly, if you could share, how can we as L&D professionals and HR professionals, convince the leadership team that we can do it. We have the wisdom and the knowledge and the practical ideas of doing it, because at times they may hire an outsourced company to manage your crisis, but what is the message around this convincing part, like what you have done there? If you could briefly talk about it.
This is a very, very good question, Afif, especially the L&D professionals to be thinking and putting your name in the company. We are the people who really provide the communication skills. We are the people who are developing when you should be and how you can really be overcome from stress management. We are the people who really develop the supervisors. We are the people who are really portray and put the pictures of the company, and when it is to be articulated in the mindset where the management wants. When the management really design concepts, design their marketing strategies, who are the ground people who really articulate these messages across through the company? These are the people, the L&D's team members. Without them, I don't think that is possible. As I heard yesterday from Eddie, there should be a strong connection between the L&D team members, L&D department heads, from the corporate perspective and down to the operation level. If this connection is missing, this is where the company will not go. If you look at the researches recently really released by Gallups and all this, the companies who really put more on training and development, or learning and development, is the most successful companies around the globe. What I would say here, Afif, here, as long as you making the management believes that L&D is where the company, the main functional team, people connecting, people understanding, and the main focus of the operation, because they are the people who are developing, who are connecting, who are articulating, who are taking their message across companies, across department as best as they want. If L&D is not as strong as we want, that there would be a problem in any department, any organization.
Yeah,